I wasn't supposed to be home for another 4 days. That was the first twist in what turned into the most surreal weekend of my life. I had left the cabin locked up tight, windows sealed, smart lock engaged, security system humming away, when I headed out for a week-long work trip. But the trip got canceled last minute. A client emergency resolved itself overnight, and by noon, I was already driving back through the pine-lined roads that led to my little slice of mountain peace. The air smelled like rain, and the gravel crunched under my tires as I pulled into my driveway. Everything looked exactly as I had left it, shutters closed, porch lights off, mailbox empty. But as I stepped out of my car, I heard something, faint at first, but impossible to miss once I froze and listened. Laughter. A woman's laughter. It was coming from inside my cabin. I stood still, heart hammering, straining to make sense of it. There was also music, faint but distinct, the kind of pop song that people use in live streams. I unlocked the door slowly, phone in hand, already pulling up the security camera app. But before I even touched the knob, I heard her voice loud and clear. And this is where I'm staying for the next few weeks, guys. Isn't it gorgeous? Don't forget to like and subscribe. The door swung open. And there she was. A total stranger, sitting cross-legged on my couch, holding up her phone to a ring light she'd set up right in front of my fireplace. My coffee table, was covered in makeup palettes and a giant iced coffee. My bookshelf had been rearranged, my blanket thrown over her lap like she owned it. She didn't even flinch when she saw me standing there, jaw clenched, phone shaking in my hand. Instead, she waved at me. "Oh. You're early," she chirped, as if we were roommates. "Karen said you wouldn't be back until next week." "No worries, I'll keep everything clean. Do you want me to blur your face on camera, or are you cool being in the vlog?" Karen. The name hit me like a fist. Karen Whitmore, our HOA president, had made my life miserable since the day I moved into Pinecrest Estates. She was the kind of woman who thought a chipped paintbrush was a neighborhood emergency. But this was something new, even for her. "Who the hell are you?" I asked, stepping forward. "And what are you doing in my house?" The stranger's smile faltered. Her eyes darted to the camera, then back to me. Karen didn't tell you?" "I'm Casey." She said the cabin was part of a community wellness program. "I'm staying here for, recovery. It's, like, a domestic situation, so." My stomach turned cold. A domestic situation. She was spinning some kind of story, I could feel it. "You need to leave," I said, my voice low. "Now. Or I'm calling the police." Her expression changed instantly. The sweet influencer smile vanished, replaced by wide, panicked eyes. She jumped up, phone still streaming, and stumbled backward. "Karen warned me about you," she blurted, loud enough for the camera to pick up every word. "She said you might show up and try to hurt me. You can't be here. You're not supposed to be here." Before I could respond, she bolted past me, phone still in hand, screaming into the live stream, "Help! He's here! He's the guy I told you about." 2 minutes later, I heard the sound of tires on gravel. Karen's voice carried before I even saw her. "Officers! Over here! He's dangerous!" I turned toward the porch, heart racing, as 3 sheriff's deputies stepped out of their SUVs, hands resting on their holsters. Karen was standing behind them, one hand on her hip, the other clutching her phone like it was evidence. Her face was the picture of triumph, like she had just caught a criminal. "There he is," she said, pointing directly at me. "That's the man. He's been stalking her for weeks." And just like that, I felt the cold press of metal on my wrists. The deputies weren't listening to me. They were listening to her. And as Casey's live stream kept running, the comment feed scrolling faster and faster, I realized this wasn't just Karen being Karen. This was something much bigger. Something planned. Something I was about to tear apart piece by piece. The cuffs bit into my wrists as the deputies guided me down the steps, Karen trailing behind like she was leading a victory parade. Her smug expression made my blood boil. Casey stood near the sheriff's SUV, still live streaming, her big doe eyes glistening with fake tears. "He broke in," she said to the nearest deputy, lowering her voice just enough to sound fragile. "Karen told me he might come back early, but I didn't think he'd actually." She sniffled dramatically, then glanced at her phone screen, clearly watching her viewer count climb. Karen patted her shoulder like some benevolent savior. "You're safe now, sweetheart. The HOA takes care of its residents. We don't tolerate dangerous men here." Dangerous men. I wanted to laugh, but the cold reality of the situation hit me like a punch to the chest. I was the one in cuffs. I was the one being shoved into the back of the SUV. "Officers, you're making a mistake," I said, keeping my voice as calm as I could manage. "This is my house. She's trespassing. Check my deed. Check the security system logs." "Sir," one deputy cut me off, "we're just separating everyone for safety right now. We'll sort this out at the station." Karen's eyes sparkled like Christmas lights. She loved every second of this. The sheriff's office smelled like stale coffee and disinfectant. They sat me down in a gray-walled room, cuffs removed but hands still resting on the table in front of me like I was some sort of criminal mastermind. Deputy Langford, a broad-shouldered man with tired eyes, flipped open a notepad. "So, Mr. Mitchell, can you explain why a woman is claiming you broke into her safe house and tried to harm her?" "She's lying," I said flatly. "That's my cabin. I own it. There's no safe house, no wellness program, no whatever this is. She's squatting. And Karen Whitmore, our HOA president, helped her." Langford frowned. "Do you have proof of ownership?" "Yes," I said quickly. "It's on my phone. Also, my security system logs every entry. If you pull the footage, you'll see exactly when she broke in." Langford's brow lifted. "You have security cameras inside?" "Yes. Motion activated. They're cloud-backed, time-stamped, and encrypted." That caught his attention. He glanced at his partner, who shrugged. "Okay," Langford said slowly, "we'll look into that. But right now, all we have is her statement and her live stream, which," he held up a tablet, showing Casey's ongoing video. The comments were brutal. "OMG, poor girl, he looks unhinged. Karen is a hero for protecting her. Why is he even allowed near people?" My jaw clenched. They were painting me as the villain in real time, and Karen was eating it up. Langford left the room to verify my story. I sat there, breathing slowly, letting my brain work the way it always did when I was debugging a nasty piece of code. That's when it hit me. Casey's live stream. I had caught a glimpse of it when she first spun her story in my living room. My cameras might have been tampered with, but her phone had been broadcasting everything. If I could get my hands on the raw footage, I could prove exactly what happened the moment I walked in. But how to get it? Langford returned 10 minutes later. "We pulled your property records," he said, sitting down. "The cabin is yours. And the security system does show someone else entering before you. But," he hesitated, "she's claiming you gave her permission and then tried to revoke it violently." "Violently?" I almost laughed. "Did she show you a single mark on her?" "Because I didn't even touch her." "She said she was too scared to fight back," Langford replied. "Look, we're not charging you, yet. But we can't release you until we figure out what's going on." Karen had done it. She'd managed to spin this into a he-said-she-said situation. But then my phone buzzed in my pocket. Langford hadn't taken it when they brought me in. I glanced down at the screen, and my pulse kicked into overdrive. The notification wasn't from a friend. It was from my security app. New device connected, living room camera accessed. Someone was inside my cabin right now. And they'd just made the mistake of logging into my system. I sat perfectly still, trying not to give away the jolt of adrenaline coursing through me. Someone was in my cabin, connected to my security system. That meant they were either stupid enough to log in with my own equipment, or bold enough to think I wouldn't notice. Either way, it was my way in. Langford glanced at me, suspicion tugging at the corner of his eyes. Something wrong? I shook my head, forcing a calm smile. Just hoping you're as good at your job as you look, deputy. He didn't respond, but his expression softened a little. Maybe he was starting to doubt Casey's story. Maybe. But I couldn't wait for maybe. I lowered my eyes as if I were staring at the table, but my thumb flicked across my phone, unlocking the app with a hidden gesture I'd coded myself months ago. The live camera feed came up instantly, and what I saw nearly made me laugh out loud. Casey was still in my living room, prancing around like she owned the place. She'd moved my coffee table against the wall and dragged in some ugly wicker chair, clearly not mine, from who knew where. Karen was there too, sitting smugly on my couch, sipping from a wine glass as if this were some kind of private club meeting. "Don't worry," Karen was saying, her voice crisp and confident. The microphone on my cameras picked up every word. "The police will hold him until at least tomorrow. You'll have plenty of time to finish the video. Remember, keep mentioning the safe house angle. People eat that up. We need donations rolling in before the week's over." Donations. That was it. This wasn't just about squatting in my house. This was a scam. A carefully crafted con designed to milk sympathy from strangers online. Karen wasn't just helping her friend, she was orchestrating this. Casey set her phone down for a moment, muttering, "What if they check the logs? What if they see I went in before he got back?" Karen waved it off like it was nothing. "Please. You've got a domestic violence story, and you're young and pretty. The internet will believe you over some antisocial tech guy who hides out in the mountains. By the time anyone questions it, we'll already have transferred the money. Besides," she smirked, swirling her wine, "he won't risk suing. Not when everyone thinks he's a stalker." My grip tightened on the phone. Every second of this was being recorded. They had no idea. I tapped another icon, pulling up the system logs. The new device that had connected earlier wasn't just my camera, it was a phone, piggybacking off my Wi-Fi. Casey must have linked her live stream equipment to my network for better quality. That meant I had access to its traffic. I switched to my diagnostic tools. With a few swipes, I began pulling data, IP address, active sessions, even cached metadata from her stream. Within seconds, I had what I needed, a direct archive of her broadcasts, unedited, with timestamps. The best part? I could also see her private messages. She'd been messaging donors in real time, sending them sob stories about escaping an abusive relationship, promising to use their money for a legal fund. Thousands of dollars had already been sent. This was bigger than a squat. It was fraud. And Karen was right in the middle of it. Langford cleared his throat, snapping me back to the room. "We're getting close to sorting this out," he said, scribbling something on his notepad. "Just sit tight." I leaned back, letting the smallest smile tug at the corner of my mouth. "Oh, I'm not going anywhere, deputy. But when you're ready, I've got something you're going to want to see." Because once I showed them what I had, Karen Whitmore wasn't just going to lose her HOA presidency. She was going to lose everything. But I wasn't finished yet. No, I wanted to make sure she and Casey buried themselves first, live, for the same audience they were trying to scam. And I had just the way to do it. I waited, counting the seconds in my head, letting Karen and Casey feel untouchable for just a little longer. People like them always got sloppy when they thought they'd already won. Through my phone, I kept watching. Casey had shifted to full influencer mode, holding her phone at that perfect flattering angle, fake tears glistening as she whispered into the camera, "You guys have been so supportive. Karen is keeping me safe. She's honestly like the mom I never had. I promise every dollar you donate is going straight to legal help so I can stay away from him." Her voice cracked perfectly on that last word. Oscar-worthy performance. Karen sat beside her, nodding solemnly, clearly pleased with herself. I swiped through the diagnostic data I'd been pulling. Each donation pinged her phone in real time, and I was logging every transaction. Hundreds of people were sending money, $25, $50, even $100 at a time. A quick check confirmed the accounts she was using were linked to a prepaid debit card under a fake name. Sloppy. But then something even better happened. Karen's phone buzzed on the screen. She picked it up, glanced at the notification, and smirked. "He's not getting out tonight," she told Casey, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "I just texted my cousin at dispatch. He's making sure the paperwork gets delayed. So relax. This is ours now." A cousin at dispatch. Perfect. That meant Karen was pulling strings on the inside, which would make everything about this scam even dirtier and easier to expose. Langford finally came back into the interrogation room, sliding into the chair across from me. His face was neutral, but something in his eyes told me he wasn't fully buying their story anymore. "We confirmed you own the property," he said. "But right now, it's still your word against hers. If you've got something to back up your claims, now's the time to share it." I leaned forward, placing my phone on the table and tilting the screen toward him. "Oh, I've got something better than claims, Deputy. You're going to want to hit record for this." Langford's brow furrowed as I tapped the play button. Karen's smug face filled the screen, crystal clear audio catching every word. "Don't worry, the police will hold him until at least tomorrow. You'll have plenty of time to finish the video. Remember, keep mentioning the safe house angle. People eat that up." Langford's expression hardened instantly. "Keep listening," I said, swiping to the next clip. Karen again, laughing this time. "Please. You're young and pretty. The internet will believe you over some antisocial tech guy who hides out in the mountains. By the time anyone questions it, we'll already have transferred the money." Langford sat back slowly, jaw tightening. "This is live?" "Right now," I said. "And I've got something else you'll like." I pulled up the live feed of their current stream. Casey was still putting on her trembling victim act, thanking donors between sniffles. The donation counter on her screen ticked upward with every second. Langford looked like he wanted to punch the table. "They're committing fraud on camera." "And," I added, "Karen just admitted she has a relative at dispatch delaying paperwork to keep me here. Want me to replay that part?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stood, opening the door and barking something to another deputy in the hall. Within seconds, 2 more officers came in, one of them carrying a recording device. "Keep that stream running," Langford ordered, sitting back down. "We're going to document every second of this." I smirked. "Oh, I'm not just going to document it. I can make sure everyone sees it." Langford raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "I can mirror her live stream," I said, fingers already moving across my screen. "Every one of her viewers is about to watch the unedited, behind-the-scenes truth, live." Langford hesitated, but then a slow grin crept across his face. "Do it." And so I did. With a few quick taps, I rerouted the audio from my security feed directly into Casey's live stream. The moment Karen's own voice started playing, her unmistakable laugh and those incriminating words, Casey froze on camera, eyes going wide. "Karen," she whispered, horrified. The comments exploded instantly. "Wait, what was that? Are they scamming people? This is live, right? Oh my God, they're busted." Karen snatched at Casey's phone, but it was too late. Their little empire of lies was collapsing in real time, for the same audience they'd been milking for money. And I wasn't finished yet. Because I had just started digging into their transactions. And what I found would take this way beyond a petty scam. It was a network. And Karen Whitmore had just put herself at the center of it. Casey's eyes darted between Karen and the phone like a trapped animal. The live stream comments were moving too fast to read, lines of "scammer," and "I just donated $200, give it back," filling the screen. Karen, ever the control freak, tried to wrestle the situation back into her hands. She snatched the phone from Casey and held it close to her chest, barking at her like she was a misbehaving child. "End it. Turn it off, now." But Karen wasn't used to technology beyond HOA newsletters and passive-aggressive email blasts. Instead of shutting it down, she fumbled with the buttons, accidentally switching the camera to selfie mode. The viewers now had a perfect shot of Karen's furious, panicked face as she screamed, "Everyone just calm down. This is a misunderstanding. You people don't know the whole story." Langford chuckled under his breath. He and another deputy stood behind me now, both watching the live feed like it was a pay-per-view fight. "Don't stop her," Langford muttered to me. "The more she talks, the better for us." Karen, oblivious to the fact that every word was being recorded, dug herself deeper. "You think this is about money? It's not. We're helping people. Casey needed a place to stay, and we provided it. Nobody forced anyone to donate." Casey, desperate now, grabbed for the phone. "Karen, stop, they can hear you. Let them." Karen snapped, her voice high and cracking. "They don't understand what we've built here. This is bigger than one cabin." And just like that, she said too much. Langford's head tilted. What does she mean by what we've built? I already had an idea. While Karen ranted to her audience, I swiped through the data I'd pulled from Casey's phone. Multiple accounts. Dozens of similar donation pages under different names. And when I cross-referenced the IP logs, the same Wi-Fi networks popped up repeatedly, belonging to Karen's house, her office, and even a couple of other HOA board members' addresses. "This isn't the first time they've done it," I said, keeping my voice low. "Look at this, same scam, different names. Karen's been running a network of fake wellness cases. People donate thinking they're helping victims of abuse. The money's routed through prepaid cards and offshore wallets." Langford leaned closer to my screen, his jaw tightening. "How much are we talking?" I scrolled through the totals. Over 200 grand in the last 6 months. His face darkened. "That's organized fraud." Karen's voice on the live stream hit a new pitch. "And if he hadn't shown up early, none of this would be happening. We had everything under control." The comments exploded again. Some viewers were already threatening chargebacks. Others were posting screenshots of past donations, demanding refunds. Someone even claimed they'd contacted the state attorney general. And then, like a final gift from the universe, Karen made her fatal mistake. "This is all his fault," she snapped, glaring off screen. "He was supposed to stay gone all week. I made sure of it." Langford's eyes narrowed. "She made sure of it." I nodded slowly. "She probably got someone to mess with my travel schedule. Emails, reservations, whatever it took to make sure Casey had enough time to move in and make it look real." That was enough for Langford. He stood up, motioning to the other deputies. "We're done watching. Get a warrant for both of them. Now." The deputies moved fast, calling it in, relaying everything they had just heard. Meanwhile, Karen finally seemed to realize something was wrong. She glanced toward Casey, then at the window, her eyes narrowing like she was calculating an escape. And then she said the words that made me smile. "Pack up. We're leaving. Now." Casey panicked. "Leave? What about the donations? What if the cops?" "Let me worry about that," Karen hissed, shoving the phone into her purse. "We just need to get out of here before they." The sharp knock at my cabin door interrupted her. Through my security camera, I saw 2 squad cars pulling up the gravel drive. Karen froze, staring at the flashing red and blue lights. "Karen Whitmore," one deputy called. "Step outside with your hands where we can see them." Casey whimpered, backing toward the hallway. Karen straightened her blouse, forcing a calm smile. "This is ridiculous. I'll clear it up. I'm the president of this community, for God's sake." The door opened, and she stepped out into the sunlight, raising her hands. Casey, shaking, stayed put until 2 more officers appeared behind the cabin, blocking the back door. Langford watched it all unfold on the screen, arms crossed. "Looks like that's it for them." But I shook my head, leaning back in my chair. "Not even close." You just caught 2 of them. But Karen wasn't lying when she said this was bigger than my cabin. Langford frowned. You think there are more people involved? Oh, I don't think, I said, scrolling through the list of linked accounts. I know. And I'm about to show you exactly how far this scam goes. Because Karen Whitmore hadn't just been running a local con. She'd built a nationwide property theft and fraud ring. And I was going to burn it down, one fake victim story at a time. Langford stared at me like he wasn't sure whether to be impressed or worried. You're telling me this isn't just about your cabin, he said slowly. I turned the phone so he could see the list of accounts I'd already traced. Karen ran this like a business, I said. Fake victims, fake stories, real properties. Look, here's an account linked to an HOA in Arizona. Same pattern. A young woman claiming she fled an abusive relationship, staying in a community-safe house, only the house actually belonged to a retired veteran who'd been on vacation. When he came back, the cops showed up to escort him off his own property. Guess who the HOA president was? Langford scanned the profile, his jaw tightening. Karen Whitmore, I finished. She wasn't just doing this here. She's been running it across multiple states, using HOA connections to pick targets. Wealthy people with vacation homes or cabins, owners who are away for long periods. Her little wellness program was a nationwide theft ring. Langford grabbed the phone, scrolling through the transactions, his face darkening with every new piece of evidence. This is federal. Wire fraud, identity theft, interstate conspiracy. And I can trace every dollar, I said. Every transaction, every burner account. She and her friends weren't careful, they reused passwords, and they synced devices to public Wi-Fi networks. I can tie it all together. Langford looked at me for a long moment before finally giving a grim smile. Think you can build us a nice little package for the feds? I grinned back. I can have it on your desk by tonight. By the time we left the sheriff's office, Karen and Casey were already in custody, sitting in the back of separate patrol cars. Casey was crying for real this time, her live stream, still running on autopilot, flooded with angry comments demanding refunds. Karen, however, looked furious, her jaw set like a cornered animal. As they drove past, Karen locked eyes with me through the glass. This isn't over, she mouthed, venom dripping from every syllable. I smiled and mouthed back, it is for you. Because she had no idea how deep this was about to go. The next week was chaos, but the good kind. I handed over everything, transaction logs, security footage, cross-referenced data from Karen's burner accounts. Federal agents showed up 2 days later with warrants, not just for Karen but for half a dozen HOA board members in 3 different states. Every day, more victims came forward, people who'd been thrown out of their own homes, accused of fake crimes, publicly humiliated just like I had been. Karen tried to fight it at first, claiming she was being framed, but her own words on that live stream were everywhere. News outlets replayed the clip of her saying, "By the time anyone questions it, we'll already have transferred the money." It was the nail in her coffin. By the end of the month, Karen Whitmore, former self-appointed Queen of Pinecrest Estates, was sitting in federal custody facing charges that could put her away for decades. Casey cut a deal almost immediately, giving up the names of everyone involved. And the best part? Every dollar they stole was being tracked for restitution. The cabin felt different the first night I came back. Not just because it was mine again, but because it finally felt safe. I sat on the porch, laptop open, watching as agents dismantled Karen's little empire one arrest at a time. Comment sections that once called me a stalker were now full of apologies, even praise. Some of the same people who donated to Casey's fake story were now donating to a fund for the actual victims. As the sun dipped below the pines, my phone buzzed with a notification. Karen Whitmore, federal indictment filed. I leaned back, exhaling. One canceled trip had ruined her entire operation. And I had a feeling she'd have plenty of time to think about that, behind bars. Because in the end, the one thing Karen Whitmore never understood was this. You can fake sympathy. You can fake authority. But you can't fake the truth, not when someone like me is watching.